Welcome back. Wasn't that an amazing session? Impact Change Retreat, Day 3. We are coming up to the big finale. We have just heard from Geoff Diamond, 50 years of media experience, and he's such a youthful 67. He's just turned 67 not long ago, as now he's in the pensioner league. That's when the real fun starts, the pensioner gang, right? Wasn't that exceptional? Who enjoyed that session? Yeah. The new 27. Well, 70 is the new 40, apparently. So there you go. There's hope for us yet. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And so grateful for all of you who have stuck around till the end. It's been a big 3 days, and we are leaving some of the best to last. And our next amazing speaker that we have tonight is someone I've also known for about 25 years or so. And I interviewed this lady when I was at the Gold Coast Sun again, at the Sun newspapers. It's probably why I have so many colourful characters in my life. I was an entertainment reporter back then, and I interviewed all these people that were following their passions and living their love. And somehow we stayed friends all these years. I guess we all got along in some way because we're all creatives, right? And we all like to pave our own path. And this beautiful lady, she was doing a show at the Art Centre, and back then it was called the Gold Coast Art Centre until they turned it into Hotter and put a demon out the front of it. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But yes, when it was the Gold Coast Art Centre, this beautiful lady was performing there. And I was in the Art Centre cafe, and we had a chat. And usually most interviews go for about 20 minutes when you're interviewing people. You've got 60-odd stories to do for the week, so there's not a lot of time to be mucking around and doing really long interviews. But Lisa and I got along so well that we were still there chatting about 2 hours later. and it's been like that pretty much ever since. We've been great friends and connections. And even though there was a long period there that we didn't see each other, we reconnected more recently through a mutual friend called Geoff Tester, actually, from Tester Power. And thank you to Tester Power. They've been great sponsors and supporters of Impact Change Retreat and of animal action events over the years. So through, awesome cables, and actually thanks to one of Lisia's Tester Power cables, because when she's not a singer, a professional singer, she's actually running around with Tester Power cords, which were quality phone accessories, and she's plugging it in all the right places. And the other day I went out on the road with her. That was fun. That was really cool. We were seeing all the...
Come and see me if you need to be turned on.
Yes, you need to be turned on, switched on. If you're running out of juice, then see Lisa and she'll get you back on track. And the next segment she's going to do is called Finding Your Voice. And she is truly, I believe, one of the best singers on the Gold Coast. Yes. And she is someone, for those who was here Friday night, who saw her sing, yeah, everyone loved your performance on Friday night. And wow, this is so good. She is, I believe, the world's best kept secret right here on the Gold Coast, but not for much longer, because now I'm sure there's a whole lot more people that know about you, and she's available for bookings and for shows and corporate and all of that. So please welcome to the stage Les Yah Malveen, or Les Yah as she's known as singer. Thank you, Les Yah.
Thank you, Alvin, and thank you, everybody, as well. Very kind of you. I'm glad you got value out of what I gave you on Friday night. Very much appreciated. I wanted to start originally in a bit of a different fashion to getting up here and telling a little bit of introduction about myself, etc. And then I opted out of that and went, no, I'm just going to start with a bit of background. I figure it's important for you to know why I might feel I've got anything to share with regard to finding your voice. A little bit of history helps. So I am a third generation singer. I'll start there. So my mother was a singer. My mother was still going out and doing gigs and things while I was still a baby in the crib, buying little baby things and everything. My grandmother would babysit me and she'd go out with her band, which was aptly named, if any of you know my mother at all, Independence. My mother is a very independent woman. In fact, my mother raised me from 15 months old on her own. My single mum, me, only child. And we have had a fabulous life full of music, all of us. Her mother also, my grandmother, a lady who was my best friend, and she's just recently passed 10 years on the 26th of March, I believe it was. So my grandmother and I, we used to hang out when she was babysitting me back in Rockhampton in central Queensland, while my mum was out in her band, independent bands, going and singing, and my grandmother would sneak me. They had a corner shop business with the living quarters out the back. And my grandfather would go to bed early, and my grandma and I'd be up watching a bit of telly together, and she'd just sort of wink at me, and I'd know what that would mean, and she'd say, "Come on, let's go get an ice cream." So she'd take me through to the front shop, and we'd go and get the most expensive ice cream there was. And I'm giving away my age now. I'm pretty sure it was the drumstick, and they were 20 cents. All the other ones were about 5 or 6 cents each, but the cornetto, that was the cream of the crop, the drumstick, So we'd go and get a vanilla or a chocolate, cornetto or drumstick, and we'd go back in, watch a bit of telly, and then it'd be bedtime. But the music through my childhood is diverse. I'd like to say also that it wasn't just us girls that had beautiful singing voices. Fair enough, my grandfather and my uncle needed a few under the belt before they'd have a bit of a sing, but when they did, they had beautiful, rich singing voices as well. So I do believe it is through my blood. I was born, I came out making noise, and apparently used to like to walk around the house and open all the cupboards and then walk back the other way and slam them all shut, all the while singing and driving my mother nuts. But that's a little bit of background on it. Just was in my DNA, I believe, right from the very beginning. Now, my mother being a single parent, and back in the days when I was a child, work was a lot easier to be found than what it is now, where you have to go for like 200 interviews and you just talk to a computer by sending in your resume. You don't get to see anyone face to face. My mother was multi-talented. She worked a lot in entertainment venues, so hotels, pubs, things like that. She was either working in the kitchen, working behind the bar, singing in the band. So I spent a lot of my childhood, maybe playing pool out in the back private family bar area or something. I got pretty good at that. I'm a bit of a pool shark, Or, falling asleep under a table somewhere because it was a late night shift and mum was still working or whatever. But I grew up in those environments. I grew up around live music. It was natural for me to sort of blend into that. But my mum had an old Holden of some sort. She'd kill me for not finding out, for remembering which one it was, an EJ or EH Holden or something. And the radio would often just sort of not work. Now, that was unacceptable. My mum would drive long distances to either go and visit friends. She's a very social butterfly. She always made sure she was a very active friend. She kept in contact with people. She made an effort with her friendships. It's one of the things I love about my mum, right? And so we would travel long distances, no aircon. A lot of the time she'd think I'd just fallen asleep in the passenger side of the car, but no, I'd actually passed out from the heat. I'd wake up and go, I'm so thirsty, Mum. But travelled long distances to go to wherever the work was as well. And so my childhood, I grew up, I was born in Rockhampton. I was in the newspaper the day I was born. I'm going to tell the whole world how old I am now. I've got to. So I was born on the 7th of the 7th, 1977. Wow. And I was in the paper the day I was born. So I was famous straight away. But these drives that we used to take when the radio would break down, I was only very, very little. Mum had what she called the monkey box in the back of the car. So no seatbelt, nothing, just a bean bag that she had sewn a head on, that she made it like a washerwoman. I don't know, but she named her something. I know the car was Caroline. I can't remember what the bean bag was called, but I'd go to sleep in the back of the car and then Mum would start singing. And I'd hear her singing, maybe if I was napping, I'd come through it, and she'd be there singing at the top of her lungs, and she'd go, "Come on, darling, harmonise with me." And I'd go, "What's harmonise, Mummy?" I have no idea. But it was fed into me very early on. I was asked to do my first gig at the age of 10 years old. And it was for an elderly couple in the local community who were having their second marriage. They'd already been married before, both their spouses had passed, and they had found love again later on in life. And they wanted me to sing for them Johnny O'Keefe's song, "She Wears My Ring." I was very excited and nervous, but I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and 2 days out from the wedding I came down with tonsillitis. Oh. And thank God my mum's a singer, because then she stepped in and did the wedding for me. So my first gig didn't quite get off on the right foot. Not long after that, I was at a Carlin's Hotel in Serena. If anyone knows where Serena is, it's about 30 minutes south of Mackay. There was a singing competition that I'd been entered into, and I was to stand up with the band, and the lessons my mum had taught me was, darling, no matter what happens, you just keep singing, right? You just get up there, you keep going, because this was with a live band. I would have been less than 10. I would have been very young, maybe 8. And so I got up there, and I remember the song I had learned was Please, Mr. Please by Olivia Newton-John. Does anyone know the song? Yeah. You would, yes. One moment. Hang on. All right.
Yay.
Please, Mr. Please, don't play B-17. It was our song, it was his song, but it's over. Please, Mr. Please, if you know what I mean, I don't ever want to hear that song again. I got up, I sang too fast, the band played too slow, they played in a different key. It was an absolute train wreck. But I kept going. And the train kept smashing its way through, and it was a complete disaster. And when I finished, I knew it was a disaster, and I was so upset. So we had columns like this in the hotel that were about 5 times the thickness. And I went and found one, and I hid behind it, and I cried my eyes out. My first ever performance. And I was devastated. Never doing that again, never doing that again. You know, all this talk in my head. Unbeknownst to me, my mum had gone and spoken to the judges and said, I know you've got different categories. Has anyone fallen over? They're not coming, car's broken down or something. Is there a duet section? Please, I can't let that be the first and last time my daughter sings. And thank God for mum, you know. And I think someone did have a car breakdown or something, and so someone couldn't make it, and they slotted us in as a duo. So we got up and, gosh, it's a long time ago now. I'm trying to remember what the song was that we sung. It'll come to me probably later. But we got up and we sung it as a duet, and we harmonised together. And my mum had gone and gathered, because we were in the back part of the hotel in the family area where you take your family and have a counter meal or play a game of pool. You're not in the front bar with the topless barmaids and stuff, you know. Not that my mum ever did that, by the way. Just making sure, because if she's watching, she'll kill me. She had pulled everyone from the public bar out into the back courtroom, and they'd all stood along the back wall, and they listened to us sing together. And at the end, I got a standing ovation. Everyone got up and gave me a big round of applause. And it was the encouragement I needed. It was a disaster, but thank God that I was given a second opportunity, and quickly. Not to let that fear kick in and to let it sit so long that I made a decision that I would never sing again, right? And so we won our category, you know, for duet and everything and all the rest of it. That was very early on for me. All through high school, I was known as the singer, you know, and so I was a bit of a rebel in high school. I used to smoke. So I used to actually, you know, tuck the cigarettes down the bra and, you know, and hide them. And we'd get pulled into the principal's office and, you know, they go, we know you've got them down the bra, pull them out. And we were so naughty, we'd pull them out and tear them up in front of the teachers because they were naughty. They'd steal our cigarettes and go across the road under the tree and smoke all our smokes. So, yeah, we got into a lot of trouble with that. But we used to go and sit on the Oval. I'm a Milton Street girl, so all my Mackay mates there. Woo! So Milton Street High School, and we used to go out on the Oval and there was the smoking tree. We used to sit under the smoking tree and all my friends used to sit around in a circle and say, sing to us, Les Yah, sing the rose, sing wind beneath my wings, sing Guns N' Roses. Whatever it was, I was, you know, just on standby, the walking, talking jukebox. So I was always singing to everybody while I was sitting there puffing on our cancer sticks. And
like everyone does that. Because I remember we had the same at Keywood
Did
Park
you?
here on the Gold Coast.
We must have similar friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, you're in Sydney. It's happening here as well at the same time. Like,
Crazy.
we also like Chinese whispers. And we're all going to go around a tree and smoke.
I think it was some rebellious energy in the 90s, yeah.
Yes, yes.
There wasn't social media telling us.
Well, while I was still in high school, I started in my first ever band. So I always sort of said I never really chased singing. It was already there, and it kind of nipped at my heels my whole life. And this was an instance where that happened again. I was with high school friends. We were in the backyard of someone's house, and someone was fixing the car. And while they were fixing the car, they had the radio blaring, and it was playing a Black Box song, I believe it was. And I loved Black Box. I loved all those fantastic, right on time, all that sort of stuff. Loved it. So they were one of my favourite bands, and obviously I really enjoyed their songs. So I'm in the backyard and I'm singing at the top of my lungs. And little did I know, the house where we were at, the guy who was fixing his car, his cousin happened to be the DJ at the hottest club in Mackay at the time, and he was wanting to form a band and looking for a singer. So here I am, 15, and he goes, "Do you want to sing in a band?" I'm like, "Yeah, all right." Now, I had no idea what that entailed. I'd never sung with a live band before, ever. Well, apart from the disaster when I was 10 years old. And so I went along, and I was sort of, there was a couple of security guards that kind of knew I was underage, and they'd sort of protect me, but they wouldn't hang around me too much because they knew if they got in trouble, you know, they'd be able to point to them. But the other ones, the security guards would, this is before you had to go and have your face ID and everything, like when you go anywhere now, well before it. And so the security guards who didn't know, the ones that did know would say to me, "Don't say you're 18, it's a dead giveaway. Tell them you're 19.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So at 15, I was telling them I was 19. You should have seen when I went back a few years later, showed them my actual ID because I couldn't. They're like, "Hang on, what?" Yeah. But I remember actually an undercover cop coming in. They knew who this undercover cop, the undercover cop came in one night while I was there, and they hid me in a broom closet. So I had to go and hide in the broom closet until the undercover police officer had gone, and then they'd come and open the door and go, "All right, you're right to come out now." But I was well looked after. I wasn't fed grog and drugs and things like that. I was well looked after. They were good people, but they were inviting me into an environment that I was too young to be in, you know, at that time. But I'd get up and I'd sing on stage, and we'd have our workforce parties, they were called. So it was the local radio station and everything that would come in, and they'd have massive big events, and we were the hot band at the time. And so I did that for a little while, and I got to the start of year 12, and I decided I was going to leave school. I was going to go on, well, initially I thought I'd get a Thursday night, Saturday morning job. And I did that, and I was already working Thursday nights and Saturday mornings, and I wasn't getting a lot out of school, and I decided to leave. So I went and actually became a Kodak mini lab assistant, where I would print people's photos for them. The very first day I started, funny story, we actually got a nude wedding through. That was an eye-opener. Yeah. Definitely was an eye-opener. And everything looks really weird in negatives, right? So when you see the negatives, everything's the opposite. It's all that pink flesh, and you don't realise it when you're learning, and you look at the negatives and everyone's blue. It's like, oh, all these little blue people, and then you realise, oh, they're little naked people out the other end. So yes, I did that for a little while, and then I decided, because I was offered by the second band, he said, "We're going on tour. We're going to move down to the Gold Coast. We're going on tour. Do you want to come with us?" And I went home and I said to Mum, I think I'm going to go with the band. That was a conversation. But anyway, she wanted to see me go and do what I wanted to do. The door was always open if I wanted to come home, of course, right? But she was gracious and she let me go. Now, the tour consisted of 2 gigs, a Friday and a Saturday in Gladstone, and then a Friday and Saturday night gig on the Gold Coast, and that was our tour. And then we ended up on the tour on the Gold Coast, and there was a few tough years in my late teens, and you know, we were well ahead of our time, of course. My first band, you know, we were fabulous. We were electronic, we were original land covers, and you know, just people weren't ready for us yet. That's what I'm going to say. I'm being facetious here, people. But we were good. We were good. We were good. I had a bit of a rough time. There wasn't many gigs coming in. I didn't really fit with a couple of the jobs I tried and everything. So I must have had a teary conversation, I think, one night with my dad, funnily enough. And my dad and I had never really lived with each other, especially not with me when I was still a teenager. And so I moved to Rockhampton, where my dad is, and I stayed, and I think it lasted about 6 weeks. It really didn't work. And I thank my dad for trying to, host me as a very hormonal, challenging teenager for that time, but it didn't work out. I tried normal life for a while, so I also got a mini lab assistant job in Rockhampton for a bit. I did bar work as a barmaid. I helped manage a nightclub in Rockhampton. And then karaoke came along. And so I would work 6 nights a week at this nightclub. I would rock up at about 5:30 in the afternoon. I'd open the club. I'd get the bar ready. I'd work the bar from about, I think, 7 till about 10. Then someone would come in, take over the bar. And from 10 until 5 a.m., I would work right through and I would host karaoke for 7 hours straight.
Wow.
Right? I had a bit of burnout after about a year of that because I'd sort of have one day off where I would sleep and then I'd be like, okay, I'll do it again. Oh. And I was still quite young at this time, right? I hadn't even hit 20 at this stage. So, yeah, it was a lot, but as they say, you think you're bulletproof when you're that age. And I fell in love. That fell apart, broke my heart, and then I went to go and live with Mum for a while. Well, at that stage, that didn't work out either. So let's not go into details, but this is just my backwards and forwards. So I was a mini lab assistant again at a different place back in Mackay. This is my 3rd mini lab assistant job. No more nude weddings to speak of per se, but I tried waitressing. Nothing stuck. Right, so I moved back down south. I got the opportunity to move back down south. And then when I got there, I was working in bars again. Bar work was a really good place to start. And then I heard of this company somehow. I don't even know now. I don't remember. But Oz Karaoke. I don't know if anyone knows of what that was. But a company in Brisbane. And they basically hired out a bunch of different karaoke hosts to go to different venues and host karaoke. And so I was doing that for a time, and then I ended up working in this bar in Fortitude Valley called the Rat and Parrot, right? And the logo on the back of our T-shirt uniform was a picture of a rat walking away with its tail up, very graphic view of a little dot where it should go, and the slogan for the hotel, really classy, was couldn't give a rat's. Right? Now, I didn't work in the public bar, with the topless barmaids. I worked out the back. I was in the family area where you could go and have a counter meal once again. But I was also hosting karaoke. And so when I spoke to the manager there one day and was telling her I do this karaoke, she said, it'd be great for here. So I'd start my shift at the hotel on a Friday at, say, 10 a.m. I'd work all the way through, maybe 5 or 6 or something, or I'd go home, I'd have a shower, freshen up, I'd get the gear, come back, set it up, and I'd do karaoke from 8 through to 1. And so at that time, I met my best friend. And ironically, I don't know how we ended up best friends because I served him a beer. He used to work across the road. He was an IT guy, and he'd come over for a counter meal and a light beer on his lunch. And he came in this day, and this was very early on when I was working there, and I was introduced to him, and he never even said hello. He just said she better be able to pour a good Hahn Light. I thought, well, I'll bloody show you, So I poured a good Hahn Light, notoriously frothy beer, the Hahn Light, for anyone who's ever poured a beer behind a bar. Anyway, we struck up a conversation, and he's the most beautiful-hearted person I've ever met in all my life. And what he did when he heard me sing with karaoke was he came to me the very first time and he said, I know a guy, can't even remember the connection now, but he's got a recording studio just up the way. he said, you should get some of these karaoke tracks, which was a little bit naughty because they didn't belong to me. But I took them over and I had the backing tracks, and I'd finish at 1 o'clock in the morning at this hotel. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, this guy who worked in the studio was a bit of a night owl. He'd work through the night. And at a discounted rate, but my best mate paid for it, we went in there at 1 o'clock in the morning over about 3 different nights, and we recorded some demos. Wow. Now, those demos were then used for a couple of gigs. But I got invited by friends to go back and live down on the Gold Coast. I was in Brisbane at this time, right? So I went back down to the Gold Coast, and I was living under a friend's house. Now, that gives a weird visual, I guess, but it was a double-storey house, so there was living quarters underneath. And I was in the pool room where they used to have their parties on a Friday night. So my bed was sort of shoved up in the corner, and obviously I had late nights on Friday nights, but for a few weeks. But they had encouraged me and said, look, we really, want to help you get work here and everything, and you got to come back home. We all miss you. So they set me up a interview with the local courthouse hotel in Southport. And I rocked up and I'm speaking to the manager and I'm telling them all about my experience and everything. And they said, well, we can probably give you Thursday lunchtime, Friday lunchtime, and maybe the Friday night and the Saturday night. And I went, oh, okay. And they said, is that okay? And I said, look, I'll take whatever shifts you've got. And they said, shifts, what do you mean? And I said, well, is that all you've got available for work behind the bar? And they said, work behind the bar, we've been told about what type of singer you are. You're amazing. We want you to come and sing. I went, oh, okay, cool. So this was probably the very early stages of when I started doing gigs myself. And then I had, everything was a connection. Everything just happened organically. Like I said, I've never chased anything in my life. It's always come to me. I've been very blessed that way. So someone heard me, came and said, I know of a really cool gig that's happening soon. They said, you would be fabulous for it. It's for Howard Morrison Jr. And I didn't have a clue who Howard Morrison Jr. was, let alone Howard Morrison. I don't know if any of you do, but a very famous singer in New Zealand. Yeah. So I basically got thrust up on stage, and we had 3 backing vocalists, and I was chosen for some reason to do a duet with Howard Morrison Jr. And so from there, I actually met a lot of my Kiwi mates, because being that he's from New Zealand, it was a big show. A lot of the fabulous Kiwi musicians here on the Gold Coast, and there's a lot of them, were there. And that was the beginning of being invited to things like jam nights. And if anyone's been on the Gold Coast for a little while, you'll remember a place. It's now called the Chevron Tavern, but it used to be called Sylvester's. Yeah, did anyone ever know of Sylvester's?
Yes.
Did you ever go to the jam nights on Monday nights there?
Yeah, I think I did a couple of times.
Yeah, well, it was fabulous. And there was so much talent crammed into that room. And so there was Uncle Lenny, who's no longer with us. He passed a few years ago. He was fabulous. He was an amazing musician, put the guitar behind his back and play it behind his back and everything. He was a real rock star. But he would run the sound. He'd run the mixer and everything. And I was, 25 years younger, a little more, than what I am now. So I was just sort of getting out there and finding my feet. But so were a few other of my now long-term girlfriends, that we were all very in a similar boat. And he gave us our opportunities to go and actually sing on stage together. And we put shows together and do the 3-part harmonies. And in fact, our Ricky Lee used to come along and watch us hunties, because she was much younger than, well, not much younger. What did you turn recently, Ricky Lee? 40, I think? Yeah, okay. I'm not sure. But anyway, she was a bit younger than all of us. And she's been fabulous since I ever first heard her at like 15, 16, and she's only ever just grown from there. But this was the calibre of talent I can't express to you, but I was surrounded by this. I was immersed in this, and I learned so much too. Even though my mum taught me at a very young age about how to harmonise, I learned so much more from my Kiwi mates. They are just brilliant with their harmonies. It comes so naturally. And so from there, I'll try to shorten down the history a little bit for you because there is a lot to share with you. However, another crazy Kiwi kid, Tiffany Judge, I'll just say that. Tiff was known as the connector. And Tiffany had apparently seen me sing at Sylvester's one night. And so I'd been singing there on and off with my girlfriends, amazing singers. And it was about 12 months we'd been doing the odd gig here and there at Sylvester's. And this crazy woman just runs up to the stage this day while I'm mid-song and says, "I've been looking for you for a year." And I went, "Oh, okay." And she goes, "I heard you sing last year, didn't know where you went, haven't been able to see you again in the same spot." She said, "I'm opening a bar and I want you to do the shows there." So I started a show called Les Yah Malveen and the Vivas. And I took the girlfriends that I was already singing with and others I'd met along the way that were extraordinary talents. And we would do a show at my bar in Surfers Paradise, which has changed. The scope of that has changed somewhat since we started. But we would be all dressed up in full-length sequins, feather boas, and in the middle of Surfers Paradise, right next to a grunge bar next door and Cocktails and Dreams upstairs with all their doof-doof, we in there singing, "Baby love, my baby love," and all this sort of stuff, or all these fabulous big ballads. And you'd see the look on people's faces. They'd walk in, they'd be half pie-eyed, and they'd walk in and be like, what's over there, you know? They didn't know what had hit them. It was like being transported into a completely different world, and they loved it. And they loved all the old classics. They loved them being sung live and everything, and it was a fabulous, fabulous show that we did for quite some time. And I've gone off track a little bit, but I actually didn't intend on telling that story, but it came naturally. So, okay, where am I up to? I was encouraged to enter some competitions. And one of those competitions, the very first one I ever entered, I got first place and won $10,000. The second one I entered, I won first place and it was $2,500 first prize. And then the third one I entered, I got a second. And I think that was $2,000 as well. All of that money actually helped me when it came time very shortly after that. One of my girlfriends that I actually used to sing with in my group, the Vivas, had a baby at the old Gold Coast Hospital now in Southport. And I was there for the birth, and in true style, my gorgeous friend, with all of the gas that she'd had, while delivering the baby, and the doctor is down here trying to stitch her up and everything, and she's just off her face on the gas, and she's got me, one singer on one side, and our other girlfriend, a singer on the other side. She goes, "Come on, girls, let's show them what we can do." So she's there with her legs in stirrups, singing, "I'm out of love, set me free." And we're doing a 3-part harmony, and the doctor's down there, and he pops his head up and goes, "I need you to stay still." This is what's happening. So after all that excitement, we had to calm her down. I went to visit her the next day or the day after. And I'm standing at the end of her hospital bed and I'm stroking her foot. I'm a tactile person. I love touch. And I'm touching her feet, and then I looked at her feet and I went, "Geez, Val, your feet are gross." I said, "You need a nice pedicure, love. You haven't been able to touch your toes for 9 months, clearly, So I said, "I'm going to go down to the chemist. I'm going to get some creams. I'm going to get some, nail files, clippers, whatever. I'm going to give you a nice little foot treat. That's something nice for you. After just giving birth, it's the least I can do," sort of thing. So I go down the elevator and I walk across the road to the Southport Chempro chemist, which is open, till late. And I walk in there and this lady's standing at the counter and she is buying Nicobate lozenges. Or gum, whichever it was. And I said to her, "Do they actually work?" She goes, "Oh yeah, they're fabulous." She said, "They helped me give up smoking." I said, "How long ago?" She goes, "About 5 years ago." She got off the cigarettes and she still eats them today, 20 years later. And you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, so we struck up a friendship because I said to her, I used to smoke, and every now and then I'm a bit naughty. I have a cigarette and I'm trying to give up to or something, and she goes, "Yeah, I highly recommend them." She goes, "I'm a singer too." I said, "Are you?" She said, "Yes, here's my card." She hands me her card. This lady goes on to be my artist development manager, who actually got all of my pre-recordings done that was submitted to other songwriters and producers to find interest to get me recorded for my album that I recorded in 2008, right? And that lady's name is Maggie Britton. Oh. She's still one of my dearest friends. She is an amazing artist in her own right. She was on Brian Henderson's bandstand. She's travelled all around the world, recorded at Capitol Records in America. She's still the mascot for the British Navy. She's worked with some incredible people over the years. She's had a very illustrious career, and she still is recording now, as recently as 2 years ago. And I believe she wants to get back in the studio to record more. In fact, she's told me she's not going anywhere. She's not dying until she can record me again. So I've got to get my butt over there. But Maggie went on to be my manager. And my career as a recording artist or a songwriter, all of what I can teach you today, really for the most part, apart from my initial grounding with what's in my DNA, what was around me from my family, my experiences as a young child and what my mum formulated inside of me. As a polished artist, I owe to Maggie Britton, right? She took the raw materials and she brought out the best of what I had to offer. So Maggie started with me in artist development, and it was an infuriating experience a lot of the time because it was very repetitive. She said to me right at the very start, she said, I will never ask you to do anything I have either not done myself or wouldn't be willing to do. And so she put me through a grueling routine, but it was because she knew that was what was needed to polish the diamond, you know, to get the best out of me. And we worked for several years. Initially, actually, she said to me, have you ever had... Oh, that's another great story. Actually, she was very sneaky. When she gave me that card, and I must have mentioned to her that I was in this competition, before the grand final of this competition, she snuck into the venue where I was singing and she sat in the background. She'd already heard me sing. But I didn't know that. When I rung her, she said, I'll just come round to my place and sing something for me. Now, I was nervous, you know, and I get up to her apartment. She's got this beautiful sunken lounge room and she's got a massive, beautiful big sound system, and she'd open up the doors on the 11th floor of her building and the sound would just travel out and she'd crank it up, you know, and she'd get you to, well, actually, initially she'd get you to sing without a microphone, which is even more disconcerting for me. No effect, no volume, it's all just your voice. So I had to stand there and sing for her. You know, I only found out years later she'd already heard me sing. I said, geez, you're tricky, you are. You're cheeky. She didn't tell me she'd already heard me when I was performing in this competition. Anyway, Maggie was part of the reason why I actually won those competitions as well, because she did the artist development to get the best out of me, to present myself the best, which are things I can teach you. I will pause here and just say, I feel like anything I can share with any of you as speakers is almost like preaching to the choir, right? And I do feel like that perhaps I could have given you some of my experience and tips and things to help you when you were about to get up and speak, because maybe I've got something to share that maybe you haven't heard in the way I would present it, etc. I've lost my train of thought. But what I wanted to ask, it's back again. What I wanted to ask was, is there anyone here that's ever had a desire to sing? Or is it just speaking? Is it just getting up in front of a crowd of people? Is it just getting up and using a microphone? I know that Nick is musical.
I have a go.
You have a go. You love to sing.
I love to sing, yeah.
So that...
Korman and I, we're singers from way back.
Oh, yes, we are.
Awesome. Great.
Down by the riverside.
Because I can share with you some of the techniques that I have learned over the years, and I do teach the Maggie Britton vocal technique. It is actually her technique that I share with people because that's what I've learned. And when I first met Maggie, I'd never had a singing lesson at this stage, right? And so I was already singing well enough to impress Maggie, but she pulled up on 3 different things that I was doing that wasn't helping me. And so I had 3 vocal lessons, and that was it. And that's all I've ever had. So I don't call myself an authority necessarily as a singing teacher or anything. I want to make that very clear. I was never taught as a child. I never sat at a piano and had to learn chords or learn anything to do with breathing. What I did came instinctively and naturally, and I was just fortunate that I hadn't taught myself too many bad habits that needed to be unlearned. I was fortunate that whatever I was actually instinctively doing wasn't harming my voice, wasn't straining my voice or anything like that. And so Maggie sort of had a fair thing to work with and just to polish once again. So even when I have done teaching in the past, or coaching, I call it vocal and performance coaching, is I take people who have an interest, who like to maybe, their goals can be anywhere from, I want to be able to sing my favourite song well, my favourite karaoke song, to an audience. Or maybe I want to go into a karaoke competition and I want to be able to sing it that well that maybe I've got a chance of winning. Or it could be that it's even a professional singer that just wants to have themselves heard to see if I can give input and any polishing on that level. It's been wide-ranging. But I don't sit with maybe anyone under about the age of 12, especially not boys. I wouldn't know how to help with, like, when the voice box changes and things like that, you know, through hormonal periods with boys. So I don't class myself as an authority as a singing teacher per se, but I have learnt enough to be able to assist people with how to present themselves on stage. I'm a little tired. It's been a long day. I would always say that one of my first tips is, if you're going to get up and speak or perform or sing or anything, get a good night's sleep the night before and maybe don't exhaust yourself. Keep yourself hydrated. Those are simple little things, but they do help.
And cocktails help.
And cocktails help sometimes in the last set. Yes. I'm actually one of those singers that I won't sing from the beginning of a gig, but if I am in a very hospitable environment and someone says to me, would you like a glass of wine? If I've got a 3-set gig, I'll get it in the last set and I'll make it last the whole last set. That way, at least, if I do get a little bit pie-eyed, hopefully everyone else is much more pie-eyed than me. But I'll go back to just a little bit here to give you a little bit more broad section, so more from the perspective of when I then moved into recording. So Maggie did my artist development. She then also went on to do my pre-recordings. She put recordings out there to some of her contacts in the industry, and also she contacted, or via a fabulous man who has a company in the UK called Songlink, which links producers and managers to artists and vice versa, and management companies and things like that. Lovely, lovely man. And he then, through his company, we sourced songwriters that were looking for singers to sing their songs. So I had started writing songs myself. I have 4 songs which I have written myself that are on my album. This is the album cover here. And the album is called Day in the Sun. So you can find it on all streaming platforms, things like iTunes, Spotify, things like that. Just look up Lesyah and my first name, or Day in the Sun, if you'd like to have a listen to those recordings. And so I developed as a songwriter as well. I did those as co-writes with Maggie and also one of the producers on my album, Roberta Melilli, who's also local here on the Gold Coast, fabulous producer also. And I worked 8 years on this album and I invested every dollar I made, and it was probably a good, I don't know, over $100,000 of my own money. Everything went back in. I never spent it on anything else. It was all on the one goal of getting this album done. But I did it independently. I did it without a major record label and other investors. I had other fabulous investors that backed me as well. But coming to where Geoff mentioned before, 2008 was the year of the global financial crisis, which was when I finished my album, and I had the marketing money set aside for, it's just the way the world works. You've got to pay for play. So you've got to pay the radio stations to give you rotation, give you a bit of repetition of your songs on your albums. The repetition where we say the exposures over and over again, okay? And I'm going to try and get through this so that if anyone's got any vocal tips or any if they would like any vocal tips, I can actually give a few of those as well for any of your future speaking engagements or anyone that wants to have a sing, okay? I'm aware I've got a few minutes left. So this process included travelling the world, writing and recording songs in England and LA and things like that as well. I recorded on the River Thames, Reeve Droit Studios or Riverbank Studios, where greats like, you know, Andrea Bocelli, Celine Dion, Tina Turner, Backstreet Boys, Enrique Iglesias, even our own Anthony Kalia, so many different fabulous artists had recorded over the years, and I just felt, it was like, you know, in recording heaven. Like I went to the toilet and went, oh, Tina Turner's bum's been here, you know, like, you know, it was crazy, it was so good. And I saw my first squirrel in the UK as well. I scared the hell out of the producer because the recording studio was actually made of glass where I was in the vocal booth, and I'm singing away, I'm singing this beautiful ballad. And then out the corner of my eye, I saw something. It's a squirrel. And I went, ah, like this. And you're like, what? There's a squirrel. He goes, yeah. Like they're as popular as house cats over there, you know, but I was fascinated, first one I'd ever seen. So he's like, okay, can you get back to the recording now? But it was a fabulous experience, and I ended up releasing my album at the end of 2008, and at least when we were starting to get a bit of traction on Radio Play, I actually was Australian Artist of the Month for 3 months running at the end of 2008, 2009. On the Oz Stereo Radio Network, which are all of your Hot FMs, your CFMs, your Triple M's, things like that all around the country. And then my star sort of was on the rise, and all of the money for the marketing fell out the bottom, and there was nothing left to keep the process going, and it sort of fizzled like one of those dodgy fireworks, you know. Now, que sera, that's just what happens, and I'm not the only one. That's the nutshell version. You know, we won't go into any more details because we're running out of time. But that is how it felt at the time, though. It felt like my star was rising and it fizzled, you know, down like a dodgy firework. And since then, I've loved, I've laughed, I've cried, haven't we all? And to quote John Lennon, life is what happens when you're making other plans. So in recent years, I've been fortunate to be invited to sing at many different events. I've done many of the Gold Coast Marathon Australian anthems televised around the world. You know, I've opened for another fabulous act several times, John Rolls, and what he did for me was actually, and he was the youngest person to ever play at, I think, Caesar's Palace in Vegas. And he's still singing. I think he's a bit like John Farnham. He said he was going to retire, and then he came back and he did a gig only a few weeks ago again at Twin Towns. But what he did for me as a young budding artist was he actually allowed me to open his show with 2 of my original songs that I'd written myself. And that's unheard of for an artist that is sort of just up and coming, for an established artist to give them the ability to actually perform some of their original material before opening a show. And so I really greatly appreciated that from John. That was a beautiful thing for him to do. It's not common. And also internationally televised Fox Sports programs and things like that. My main gig is the care of my mum now. I still sing, and I've put cards on the table for you. So now tips. I'm clearly comfortable in front of an audience and behind a mic, okay? Mostly because of my perspective, experience, and a balance of not giving a shit what anyone thinks while still giving a shit about bringing value, right? So how do you strike this balance?
Yeah.
One thing I can tell you is before I step on a stage, most times in varying degrees, I still get butterflies. I still get that bubbly feeling of stress, right? And I've heard so many speakers over the last 3 days speak about stress, fear, overwhelm, all of these different things. And we've had our breathwork coaches, we've had the sound healings, and we've had some fabulous practitioners explain to us what these particular emotional states do to us and how we can come out of them. And that's why I made the joke today with you, Nick, about stop stealing my material, because I've got to the end of the 3 days, and to be honest, a lot of what I actually was going to teach, I might say it in a different way, but I'm really only going to be reinforcing a lot of what's already been said to you, right? But one thing I haven't heard anyone say when it comes to fear is that fear can be useful to propel action, right? Initially, it might make you freeze, right? But you can actually get to a point of overcoming that if you give a shit about the value you're providing, right? You can actually come to a point where you go, okay, this is scary, but do these people need to hear what I've got to say? Do I have something valuable to share? Is it worth getting past my fear to actually get up and do something that's a little bit out of my comfort zone? So the thing that you have to remember is telling lies means you need to have a really great memory, right? Truth doesn't require that because truth stands on its own. So if you are truthful about your message, if you're not bullshitting anybody, right? If you're actually standing up and being honest about what it is that you do, who you are and what you're providing, you can stand in confidence. If you're being a little inauthentic, right, and you're not really quite on the level and you're trying to swindle somebody, you better have a great memory, because one lie causes you to have to remember the last lie you told, and you've got to make a lie up that fits with the last lie, because otherwise if you get to the next lie and you've forgotten the last two lies, that house of lies crumbles like a pack of cards, right? So being honest is a really great tool. And that comes to your authenticity. Are you really actually caring about what it is you're saying? Do you care to impact change? Right? Now, like I said, I've got up here at the end of this 3-day retreat where a lot of you are all so amazing in all of your skills, and so many of you have touched on things I always intended to say today, and so I feel it's a little bit sort of, almost pointless because it's been said by so many people already. But what I did instead was perspective is really important. I chose to look at that and affirm that what I know is actually the truth because it's repeated by so many other people. And I've never heard them say these things before. I've never heard them speak, even with the breath work that we did the other day and the sound healing. And we would have seen that on previous lives that Aldwyn has shared. When even the mouth position that Faris was describing to be able to get the right sound for an ooh, the puckered lips and all this sort of stuff. And it brought back a lot of my learnings about the vowel sounds and things like that. He would say, make sure you bring it up from your stomach. Well, I can expand on that and explain to you, if you wish, quickly. Here's a technique. When you're singing, very little happens up here, and it requires you to be relaxed from the shoulders up, right? Because tensing anything from the shoulders up does not help you when you're a singer. And it can be a skill to learn. One of the things that I was doing incorrectly, that I had taught myself wrong, and I blame this on 1990s videos of artists like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and everything, right? They used to trick us something terrible. If you see any of those singers sing live, someone like Christina Aguilera, for example, right? She's about this high in high heels, and she's an absolute dynamite. Now, you'll see in all of her marketing, right? Maybe Kylie Minogue, even if you've ever seen that cover of her album, I think it's just her Kylie album, and she's standing like this, right? With the disco ball above her, right? Now, does that look sexy or does this look sexy?
Yeah, first one.
The first one. That's a correct position to get that sound, right? So loose knees, maybe not necessarily squatting so much, but I have squatted like that when I'm really pulling something from my toes when I sing, right? But I was, right, the boobs out, the bum out, the bent legs, the elongated, right, and the head up, very sexy pose. And that was what would be in the video clips, right? You'd see these sort of sexy and they'd have their head up and all this, right? I used to do that. And what I was doing was straining everything in here. The best thing you can actually do is keep your chin level to the ground at all times, right? As a singer, it's ideal. See how I'm speaking into the microphone directly like this? A microphone has a diaphragm inside, right? So the best way to be heard clearly through a microphone is not like this, right? Can you hear me as well now with it under my chin? Directly like this, into the diaphragm. Never hold a microphone like this, right, across the top. People think it looks cool, but am I as clear? No. So for a singer, sort of just under the bottom lip and the chin so you can still see the mouth. When you're a singer, it's important. You want to be able to see the mouth while someone's singing, right? Important for speakers too. You don't have to have it up here. I very quickly said to Elizabeth today when I handed her the microphone, I said, not like an ice cream. She goes, what about this? She pretended to lick the ice cream this way, when I told her to hold it this way. And I said, look, the closer the microphone, the better. You can have it out here. It's still not going to do anything, is it? So you've got to have it close to your mouth. The reason I'm telling you a couple of little tips about microphone use is, has anyone ever taught any of you how to use a microphone? No?
Yeah.
So you guys are really great at what you do. You know your businesses inside out, correct? And you probably stood in front of a mirror and even written out a script and read it and rehearsed it and remembered it and practiced it in front of a mirror. And then you walk into a venue and you've got this great big stage and a spotlight's on you, and you walk up, someone thrusts a microphone in your face. And if you've got any fear of a microphone, what happens? The brain shuts down. All that rehearsal, all that work you've done falls out your ears. Yeah? So instead of looking at this as your enemy, this is your friend, not your foe. It doesn't do anything magical. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to bite you. All it does is amplify you, right? You speaking to this, it's connected to a mixer. A mixer's job is simply to amplify volume, right? To be able to mix sounds together. So if you've got music and vocal, then you don't want the music too loud or the microphone too loud. You want that to balance nicely. That's why it's called a mixer. You mix the sound together. Maybe add in an effect, like what I did when I sung Please, Mr. Please before. I put a little bit of zhuzh on there, so that it's not what's called a dry microphone with no effect. And it comes out the speaker. And if you know a couple of tips that aren't going to terrify you about microphone and PA equipment, power amp equipment, right? Another tip, never stand directly in front of a speaker or point a microphone directly at a speaker. That's the best way you'll get that screaming sound that blows everyone's eardrums out. If you know these basic things, and you know that these are just tools to assist you when you get up and speak, right? All the fear drains away. You don't have to think about it at all. The same thing happens when you're singing a song. If you know the lyrics already, if you've got them down pat, and I have what I said to you the other day, Nick, and you said you do a similar thing, is once I have actually chosen a song that I want to learn, I will listen to the song with the original artist. I'll sing along a bit. I handwrite my lyrics because it's been scientifically proven that the action of pen to paper, your hand, writing from left to right and top down, actually activates your brain better than ever typing anything, right? So I can tell you that when I remember the colour of the ink in the pen that I used to write out the lyrics to I'm Out of Love by Anastasia back in, year 2000. I think that came out as a hit song. And I can still remember it. My brain is connected to even the colour of the pen I used, right? Once I've written it out, I will then go and type it out because my writing is like a doctor's scrawl, chicken scratch. So I go and I type it out and I listen to the song, until I've got a bit of a gist for the melody. I then have the lyrics there and I sing along. Once I feel confident enough that I've learnt the lyrics, then I take the lyrics away and I sing along with the artist. And if I make one mistake, I go right back to the start. And I will do that 3 times without mistake. If I get to the last line of the song on my 3rd time and I've still made a mistake, I go back and I do it 3 more times. And once I've done it 3 times without fault, it's locked in for good forever. People say, how do you remember lyrics? Well, it is repetition. And some songs have less lyrics. Some songs are easier to capture. I can take weeks learning one song and then an afternoon for another. It just depends on the song. But these things are tools. They're your friends. They're not your foe. I run out of a little bit of time now. I actually thought I would probably be done in 15 minutes, ironically, but I had my 30 minutes. And I do want to probably finish on this. There is more I can teach you. If you would like to learn, I can teach you vocal technique. There's a different way to sing for live performances than there is for even recording studio performances. So many different techniques that I can teach you if you're interested in that from a singing perspective. If you have questions, I'll welcome them in just a minute, but I want to finish on this. Part of the reason I've probably not stuck to my allocated time tonight, part of the reason that this probably isn't the most perfect speaking engagement I probably could have had, from my perspective, I don't know how much you've enjoyed it. However, this is my first time doing this.
Yay!
So I've come out of my comfort zone, right? I have gone from fear to freedom because now I can say I've done this. Yeah? Thank you.
Extraordinary. Wow.
So if you want to hear more about my history, no, just kidding. A song would be nice. Oh. Does anyone have any questions? And then perhaps I'll throw it out, and whoever gives me the first song I know, I'll sing that. No Whitney Houston or Celine Dion, please. I'm too tired. For something else.
It's not a question, it's about fear.
Yes.
And what, you know, I'm a coach, as you know, so what we say is, with my coach, is when you experience fear,
Yes.
it means you're on the green growing edge of moving forward.
Yes.
From where you are now to something more.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a good sign.
It is lovely. Yeah. Yeah. Fear doesn't have to be debilitating. It can actually be a tool that you can use to get beyond that and create something beautiful. So if you can overcome it, and there's tools for overcoming it. There's relaxation techniques, there's breathing techniques. There's even just, like I said, in very simple terms, I'll use my microphone again. You don't give a shit about what anyone thinks, but you do give a shit about adding value. Right?
I have a song request.
Oh, do you? Hang on, we've got to turn you back on again, darling. I'm the turner honour here.
I've been waiting so long.
You never thought it would be me, did you?
That's why we can't sing.
We have a synergy, darling, don't we? We have a synergy.
We do. I have a song request,
What do you want to hear?
and
darling?
everyone probably knows to have a sing along to this one. And
Is
it's
it your
probably an easy
favourite?
one. It is one of my favourite songs, and it's What a Wonderful World.
You got it. Let me set up for it then.
Okay. And then I'll do a little. While you set up, how about I do my little bit, and then we'll have.
But it won't take me long,
Oh, okay.
and then I can get out of the way and let
Okay.
you just do your
And then
thing
we've
on
got
it.
Geoff, DJ Classic, coming up, and we'll probably have about an hour. We'll see how we go. We want to be wrapped up by 9:30, ideally tonight, if we can. So it's probably going to be a short boogie with our disco retro segment tonight. Has anyone got to change your clothes with them?
No.
Yes? No. I've got some hats. I've got some funky disco hats. Okay,
Can
well,
always rely
it's only
on
me then. All right, jolly good.
get the prize for best dressed.
Well, I get my own best dress prize then. We do have some prizes to give away actually for social media, and thank you to everyone who's shared. It's not too late. The event's not over yet. I invite you to take some photos. Thank you to Robert's been doing some great social media there too. Roberto from Slovenia. We love Robert. Thank you so much. And dinner is being prepared in the background, I believe, or being heated up. Yes, thank you. So we've got dinner. Anyone hungry?
Yes.
My mouth has gone like frozen from those shake cocktails. So definitely, if you want to come across well with your voice, do not have too much shade cocktails because I feel like my mouth is definitely numb. So yes, we're coming to the big finale here. What a Wonderful World. Who loves that song? We actually had Louis Armstrong's grandson, Herb Armstrong, performed at some of our animal action events in the past, and he did that one, What a Wonderful World song. He was a bit of almost like a Louis Armstrong tribute that he did with his band based in Brisbane. However, before I knew Herb Armstrong, I've always loved this song, What a Wonderful World. And
I don't sing it like Herb Armstrong, I can tell you that.
No, I would imagine not. I'd be worried about you if you did.
Yeah, no. That would only be after a couple of cigars and a few ports or something, you know, in some dark, dusky bar somewhere.
And Geoff is bringing his gear down. That's a pretty cool speaker. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Wow.
That's on
That's
wheels.
very nice. See, size does matter when it comes to speakers.
No, sometimes compact is handy
Oh, there you
too.
go. Sometimes small is good as long as you got your batteries charged. That's the main thing. That's why we got tested for. It keeps you charged up all the time.
All right, for you all then.
Thank you. Okay, we'll sing along.
If you wish.
No, Angelique said the other side.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Everybody sing with me. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky and on Dale, are also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. Everybody, what they really say, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more, and I'll never know. And I think to myself, but with Nick's help, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
And it is a wonderful world, isn't it? What a wonderful world. Thank you, Lesyah. What a wonderful weekend.
Nice welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lesyah. Amazing, amazing. Please book Lesyah for your next gig. She will exceed expectations. She exceeds expectations for anyone who's here for that session. She's absolutely awesome. Love you, Lesyah. Thank you so much.
Love you too.
Beautiful lady, inside and out. Absolutely adorable. I'm going to go straight into the next segment because somehow time and space seem to have disappeared this weekend. It's very odd. It doesn't happen very often. Oh, one more song we're going to sing. Okay.
I'm going to sing.
Oh, you're going to sing a song. Okay. And Geoff sings as well, by the way. Do you want to take this mic then, Geoff?
Yeah.
Okay. And Lucy's going to do it. You're doing a double act?
No, I don't think so.
Are you doing a solo?
It's all Geoff.
We're doing karaoke style now. This is leading us into the disco section.
Yeah, that's
Disco retro. I do have a little bit to do on how to impact change and sustain it long term, because we all want a happy ending at the end of the day, and that's what we're working towards tonight. So, all right. So over to you, Drew.
Okay, well, I'm going to try one. Just one. I want to get Lesyah's, a review of my singing.
5-star Google review.
Yes.
That's right. I listen.
Yeah, well done.
I'm giving you effect now.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's better. That's how to sustain it long term. Get the reverb going. All right, here we go.
Fly me to the moon, let me play amongst the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song, let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true, yeah. In other words, I love you. Over to the dancers, yeah. Ba-da-da-da. heart with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. Yeah. In other words, oh yeah, in other words. Oh yeah, in other words, I love you. Thank you.
Oh, great choice, great choice. Oh my gosh. Hope you enjoyed that. Hey Cindy, good to see you there. All right. Oh, I'm going to get out there now, catch my breath, Margo. We'll get Margo over here to film me because I can't see where I'm standing.
Oh no, I just think.
Okay. Are we happy yet? Okay. Are we at the happy ending section? Almost. Oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. Oh my gosh. Main thing is just to hang in there. Right, hang in there on this roller coaster ride of life and have some fun. Oh, thank you so much, Geoff Diamond, Les Yah Malveen. Wasn't that fun? Oh my gosh. So good. And now catch your breath. All right, so I'm going to do this section now, just a quick section while Geoff sets up his DJ Classic. He's now going to transform into DJ Classic, and he actually does DJ in Sutherland Paradise at the moment. What's the club you're DJing at, Geoff?
Paradise Bar, Surface Paradise.
Paradise Bar. So
Opposite Retros, yeah.
Opposite Retros in Sutherland Paradise. So Geoff actually DJs currently on a, what night for you?
Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday
9
from
to 1.
9 to 1.
Yeah.
9 to 1. So you can actually see Geoff in Sutherland Paradise Friday and Saturday nights, 9 till 1 a.m. Dinner is getting set up in the background, and this section I would love some audience participation. Okay, this is about how to impact change and sustain it long term. How to impact change and sustain it long term. Now, we are at the Impact Change Retreat. We've been talking about amplifying your impact while nourishing mind, body and soul. Okay, so how do we sustain it? Or I want to hear from you. How are we going to sustain the impact that we're going to have in the world? What's it going to take for us? What are we going to go away with? Because, I mean, this has been a fabulous 3 days, but this is just 3 days, right? What's going to happen tomorrow when you go back to your everyday life? What are you going to take with you? What actions are you going to take? So I would love to hear from you. What's it going to take for you? And this could be individual for everyone. Thinking about the whole weekend, what we've had. Well, we've had breath work, we've had yoga, we've had sound healings, we've had some awesome presentations, we've talked about self-love, we've talked about storytelling, we've talked about resetting your mind with rapid transformation, your RTT with Angelique here. We've talked about so many amazing things, increasing your frequencies with the pulse electromagnetic field. So much magic and so much gold has been shared over this 3 days. So what is it that's been really impactful for you that you're going to take away? And I'd love to hear and just sort of yell out, and I'll repeat it if we need to, if it's a bit soft. So I actually want to go around. I want to hear from each of you. Okay, there's no hiding in the shadows here tonight because this is about putting yourself out there. I want you to think of at least one action you're going to take going away from this weekend that will help you sustain the impact that you're going to make. Okay? How to impact change and sustain it long term without batteries, okay? We can't all say batteries, although batteries do come in handy sometimes, and tester power is certainly fantastic to keep things flowing. So, Jacqx, let's start with you. What's it going to take for you? What's one action that you're going to take moving forward from this weekend?
More writing for me.
More writing.
You're writing your legacy. Okay, you're writing what you've learned, you're writing your experiences, and you're sharing that. So share it with the world. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with the world. So write it down. You are your, what legacy do you want to leave behind? So to me, everything I have learned in this weekend and communicated with so many amazing people that are so talented, I've got to share that, otherwise who's going to hear it? So to me, it's always been writing, to make sure you've
Beautiful.
recorded everything.
Keep writing and sharing. Beautiful. Fantastic. I'll pass the mic to Angelique. Thank you, Jacqx.
The first thing I'm going to do is actually use the mic properly.
Yeah. Woo! Yes. Well done. That's much better.
The second thing is I'm going to do more writing, and I know how to do it because my beautiful friend has given me some beautiful tips here. And the third thing is I'm going to reach out to Nick tomorrow and start my CRM.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Love it. We'll pass over to Dale here. We'll just watch the drinks. Oh, watch that cord. Okay.
I felt that the whole 3 days I was a bit like a fish out of water because this is not my scene. You know, I don't
Not
see,
my
I don't
scene.
see that sort of thing. So what I'm going to learn from it, I'm not sure. We'll just have to see what happens.
What's one action you're going to take from today, Dale? Or from the weekend?
My world is art, as I say.
Yep.
Magic might inspire me to do more with my art. I don't know.
Yeah, do more with the art. And you were talking about you love the machines, the pulse electromagnetic field machines, PEMF. You were saying you'd love to get a machine as well.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so there you go. There's two things, your
I
art
have to do something fancy and earn some money so I can get one.
and earn some money and do something fancy. Well done, Dale. Excellent, excellent. Lesia, what are you going to take on from here? What action are you going to take?
It feeds into my thank you to you, which I never got to do.
Oh,
Listening to you speak this afternoon, first thing I want to say is you are so inspirational, Aldwyn.
Oh.
You really are. You wear your heart on your sleeve, you speak from your heart, and the world needs more of that. You are truly an absolute treasure, right? And to bring all of us together, that was no small feat, and that was from your heart as well. And I wanted to thank you because I never thought I had anything to say until you went, oh, do you want to speak at it? And I went, what am I going to talk about? And we started chatting on our day out together, and it turned out I had quite a lot to say.
Yes.
I didn't even get through my whole 30 minutes. I'm going to have to come up with a 2-hour show with multimedia.
Yeah.
I'm going to do memes. I'm going to have photos, all these different things, quotes. But I wanted to thank you, first of all. So the first action I'm going to take is I'm going to notice and grab with both hands more opportunities that are presented by beautiful people like you, right? And I'm going to continue to move outside of my comfort zone.
oh, thank you, Lesia. That's really beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I would love a 5-star review while you're at it. That's awesome. Thank you. 5-star. Yay. Thank you, Lesia. Love your work. Thank you, Karen.
What do I say after that?
Karen. So what's an action you're taking, Karen, from this weekend?
Well, I think I'm going to just be more open to everyone
Yes.
and maybe look after myself more, eat better, maybe do more
Yes.
exercise. I'm not sure about that yet, but yeah, that's probably what I'll do.
Yeah, beautiful. Be more open, more self-care. Yes, so important. Thank you. And thank you for your beautiful flowers that you've donated. Beautiful flowers. And we've got some prizes there coming up. Thank you so much, Karen. Beautiful human being. And well done. You did the 12-day Global Good News Challenge for December last year, so people can go back and have a look at those.
I still got to do the April one.
Oh, April. 4 days for April. Yeah, not too late. Not too late. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. And Tanya, I know Tanya's filming. Maybe we can hold the... Actually, show us your flower there. Why you got your flower there? Show us your flower. Yeah, this is the flowers that Karen makes. Look at that. Crocheted flower. It's very cool. All right, over to Tanya. Tanya, what is your action you're taking?
Cocktails.
Yeah, drinking more cocktails. Weren't they good? Oh, my gosh. So good. So good.
Yeah, thank you for this amazing weekend. Just feeling really fired up, feeling really passionate about connecting and the frequency devices, sharing them, having shared them here all weekend, and I will keep doing that. I have already fully activated the action taking, the sharing here on Facebook, the sharing on YouTube, the sharing in community. There's more to fine tune and more AI to help with linking that all up. CRMS, it's called.
CRM.
But I do follow a deep flow, and I keep doing it even more amplified, I feel.
Yes.
And all the new souls that are coming in, you know, that are joining us now, and how we are going to be impacting the world together. So all that we did this weekend, also showing up here fully from 6 to 10, like fully sharing. I've never so fully shared all along on Facebook. All this, so I've grown this weekend. I have evolved. Also the speaking today about coming out of how the mess becomes a message and so on. So I feel I've really uplifted again, and we continuously keep uplifting into our new frequency. So action steps are activated and the flow is on. Thank
Beautiful. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, we'll hand it over here. Who else wants to share? What are they going to take on? Mr. Nick Cree. Here we go. Come on down. Come on down. What action are you going to take from this weekend? What have you learned? What have you loved? What have you learned and loved? And what?
I have learned so much this weekend. I think the thing that I have taken away is everybody has a story. In fact, there's more than one story that everybody has. And the one thing that is we don't do enough of is sharing our stories. But yet that's the most interesting part of who we are as well. And when we, for me, when we naturally share our story, or any story that we've got, it captivates people. You don't actually have to think about all the boring stuff like marketing or whatever, because that's all marketing is, just telling a story. And I often think, I don't actually have much of a story to tell. But there's lots of stories in life. And when I hear other people's stories, it's inspirational, and that's what really sort of kicks off. I've got a story that's triggered as well, or there's another story that's triggered as well. And so I think for me, it's really delving into some of the stories, some of the other stories that I've got, and finding stages like this to tell my story. So thank you for the stage and the opportunity for all of us to actually tell our stories. It's it's not often that these opportunities present themselves so well, but you've created the opportunity for us. You're always a big supporter of mine, and I'm a big supporter of yours. So thank you.
Thank you, Nick. And you've been to a lot of events over the years. How does this differ from other events you've been to?
Yes, I have. This is quite different, in fact, because I was thinking about this. A lot of events teach you things, whereas this event, everyone learns something, and the learning is not from the teaching, but the learning is from hearing, people's experiences, and hearing their journeys. And not everyone is polished, but it's the raw stuff, the unpolished stuff that is really where the gold is, or where the gems are. And I think you can be a really good presenter and speaker on stage, yet not as impactful as someone who is raw and really lets out who they are. So I think that's really how it's different as well. And it's a really intimate environment as well. So this isn't talking to people. This is like actually sharing with people, and that's been the real value of this weekend.
Beautiful. And the self-care practices, and how did you find that?
The
self-care that you were at remember with Faris yesterday?
Yeah, they're a bit challenging for me.
A bit challenging. Sound healing. Yep.
Well, if there's anything that I'm sort of a little hesitant about, or not very good about, or sort of have difficulty with sort of sharing some of my vulnerability with, it's some of those self-care things. But yeah, those are the things that are really important as well. And that's the sort of thing that Jenny will slap me around, so you can't do yourself. And in fact, I was just down with Sally down on the sound bed that she's got down there, which is the first time I've ever had anything like that. So it was pretty amazing. And it helped me to recall a story of when I did need to take care of myself, and that was sort of having come through the GFC and having lost everything, which is a whole nother story in its own self, and coming over to Australia to retreat from all of that stuff that was happening. And I ended up thinking, what can I do? Well, I've got no skills. Because this is the sort of stuff that you think when you're in the depths of where things are. And I thought, oh, I can drive the car. So I ended up driving a taxi for sort of 6 months or 8 months. But to do that, I had to go and get a medical. And having lost all of my property in the GFC and coming out here with about $5 million worth of debt that I needed to sort out. How do I deal with all this sort of stuff? And then the business that I bought out here, it was something that had a reasonable income, $250,000 income. And I thought, great, that'll sort of set us up and see us through and sort of work out some sort of plan. And only to find out, it was a business magazine that was being published, and I was taking over the writing of that and publishing that. Only to find out that the guy that sold it to us gave away all the subscriptions, so no one really paid for it. So it was not a $250,000 business, it was zero business. So after 9 months, thinking, that's someone closed that. So I had an incredible amount of stress. I wasn't sleeping very well at night. I'll wake up with the sweats and lots of stress. But anyway, so driving the taxi, I had to get a medical. And I went into the medical centre to get all that. And the doctor said, oh, you've got high blood pressure. And I said, no, shit. And he said, I'm going to give you some blood pressure medication. I said, you can prescribe what you like, but I'm not taking it. And he said, well, you could get a stroke. I said, no, I will regulate it. So the best thing about driving a taxi was it allowed me to escape from all of the pressure that was out there. No phone, no nothing. And I took care of myself and just gave me a sort of sense of, is there anything I can do about all of that external stuff? I said, no, there's not. There's nothing I can do about it. So the only thing I can do is to relax and bring myself back to who I am. So I don't have high blood pressure now.
Right.
And I don't take the high blood pressure medication or anything like that. But
certainly have a story, no?
There's a story there.
So you don't have a story.
So I think self-care is really important. And I don't do enough of it, but I think the value of all the self-care that was here, I sort of dipped my toe into it.
Yes.
But often we don't even get those opportunities to dip our toe into some of these things that really help to ground us and really sort of think about how do we take care of ourselves instead of rushing headlong into a heart attack, damn stroke, what all those sort of things that often happens with people who are in business and sort of entrepreneurial. So it really is a balance, but I think you need to be intentional about getting the care and intentional about the balance, because otherwise life just takes over. Well, the things in life that are the pressures, you allow them to guide and dictate your life as opposed to taking charge and taking control and saying, I'm actually going to participate in some things that really So a long answer to
beautiful. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. No, that's great. That's great. I love that. Thank you. And at least taking some action from this. That's what we want. So what actions are we taking? So we had some beautiful responses there, and maybe some more self-care for you, Nick, making some more time. I know you go to the gym, right? You do go to the gym. Yeah. We did the sound healings were, a lot of energetic work. There's a lot of energetic work that happened here through this 3 days, and it's been absolutely wonderful to connect or reconnect closer with some of you. It's been really, really beautiful. Now I'm going to put this back over here, and I'm juggling a few things here, as you can see. So we'll just put that back here. All right. We're at the session, how to impact change and sustain it long term. How to impact change and sustain it long term. There we go. Hello there on the live. Right, what's it going to take? Well, we learn things all the time, don't we? There's a lot of us that have been learning for years, and the question is, what are we doing about it? Or what have we done about it? And at least if we can take one step, just do one thing
that can help transform your life in some way, right? Inch by inch, everything's a cinch. Inch by inch, everything's a cinch. And it's just starting. 50% of anything we do is just starting. So it's been phenomenal to have this event this 3 days. As we know, only 2.5 weeks ago, our venue that we had organised months ago. In fact, since last year, we had Hippocrates organised, and 2.5 weeks ago, we weren't able to use that venue. So very, very fortunate this event went ahead, and despite all odds, we went ahead. And what we've heard from our speakers is we've heard a lot of tenacity. We've heard a lot of, Geoff was sharing how he just kept showing up. He kept showing up wanting his first radio job, right? He turned up every week. They weren't going to get rid of him. Five weeks in a row, as a 16-year-old, he was showing up going, have you got a job? Have you got a job? And it reminded me when I was at, after I went on my really big downward spiral in my teenage years and then turned my life around and got into uni, I remember there was a job going as editor of the university newspaper called Curio, and I moved from Sydney to Canberra. And I remember this job, and I remember seeing the sign, editor wanted, for the Canberra University newspaper. And I remember I applied for that job 3 times before I got that job as editor. And I ended up being the longest serving editor of that newspaper for 1.5 years, because it was full on. Like, we were putting out a 24 to 48 page newspaper with 30 contributors every 2 weeks on top of doing my uni degree, which was, at the time I was doing a BA in communications, majoring in media, so Bachelor of Arts. And I majored in photojournalism and TV production back then, but I loved editing the paper because what I would do back then, and this is before social media days, is 1992 to 1994, I would see stuff in the mainstream media. I would see documentaries or stories that I wasn't happy about, and I would write about it in the newspaper. And one of the first stories I wrote was an anti-duck shooting story. I couldn't believe people were shooting ducks for fun. And the headline was "Go and Get Ducked." It was very in your face press. And because I was the editor, I was getting away with all this because it was, basically, there was no censorship. Back then there was no censorship. And then I wrote about female circumcision, and we had photos, graphic photos of women's genitalia showing the 3 different levels of female circumcision. We had that kind of press that was going out there. We did stories about helping to save the environment, about recycling. We had stories about encouraging people not to support, don't buy cage eggs because it's a very, very cool practice. All those kind of things. So it's a fantastic medium to impact change. And now there's no excuses because we have social media. You don't have to be going out through traditional media anymore to get your message out. You are your own media. People follow people. People follow people. And it's sharing of yourself. As I've said earlier, it's very cathartic. It's very cathartic and it's very freeing when you can share what's going on for you in your world. Of course, you don't have to, right? You don't have to. But then, you'll be one of the people that most likely dies with regrets, right? We know 90% of people die with regrets, and 1/3 of all people die by the age of 65. If you think of your age right now, some of you might be closer to 65. Yeah, Karen's doing all right. She's going well for 89. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 20 years older than accessories.
You're 20 years older than Alicia. Karen Clark, Quantum Cree. Oh, there you go. 20 years older. Amazing. Amazing. So sustaining it long term, persistency, being persistent and being consistent and being very clear on what you want and having that dogged determination that you will do whatever it takes to make change happen, whatever that looks like for you. And it starts with taking those baby steps. I loved how Alicia was sharing she got a standing ovation. Has anyone been to Toastmasters here before? Anyone? Yeah. Do you know when you did your icebreaker at Toastmasters, you do a 3-minute talk, and you know how everyone gives you a standing ovation? I felt so special when that happened after my 3-minute talk. I thought, oh my God, everyone's giving me a standing ovation. And I said, oh yeah, we do that with everyone. Oh yeah, we're just trying to encourage you. It's like, oh. But this is the thing, is your environment is so important, right? Your environment is so important. You want people that are going to be cheering you on. And if you've got people in your life right now that are dragging you down, then you want to ideally bless and release those people. Now, sometimes those people are family members, or partners or ex-partners, or, so ideally you want to be limiting your time with those people if they're getting too negative or if they're pulling you down, if their energy's too draining. Ideally, be very selective with the minimal time we have on this planet in this form. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, I believe. And in the short time we have on the planet, your environment is so important. And what I've loved about this weekend, I brought together some of my favourite people. These are a few of my favourite things. And these are a few of my favourite. These are a few of my favourite things. Something like that. Maybe we'll do that in the next class. We can all sing along together. We went to the Austrian Alps with Geoff there for a while. I thought he was going to sing. You guys, what gives you joy? What lights you up? What do you want to see change in the world? And how can you be the change in the world? And by being here this weekend, it's hopefully my wish for you is that something has lifted in you, something has inspired in you. Hopefully a little spark has lit there that you will go out and make greater impact, whatever that looks like to you. Maybe there's been something you've been thinking about for a while, or it's been on your heart that you're going to make happen. And maybe you've been procrastinating and deliberating about that thing. And maybe now you go, okay, the time is now. Let's go out and take action on that thing. One thing I'm planning to do very soon, and you'll be seeing it on my socials when I do it, is I'm going to go down on Fridays with Dania. I'm going to go take my ukulele. I'm going to sing Fly Me to the Moon. I love that song. I play it on my ukulele. Fly Me to the Moon. I'm going to go down and hang out with Dania on a Friday and play my ukulele and sing some music. And I don't care if I sing badly or play badly. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you're having fun and, it's so good for you, and it nourishes your soul and it fills you up. And as entrepreneurs, we give so much, right? And sometimes it feels like no matter how much we do, it's not enough. Does anyone feel like that? Sometimes no matter how much you do, no matter how many followers you've got, no matter how much, you feel like you're making impact with the number of followers or views or whatever you're getting, and it can always be more. It can always be more. And that's the thing, is that wherever you are is absolutely perfect. And it's important we don't get hung up on those numbers. Because like Nick, I go down the street sometimes and people say, oh, you're an old one, aren't you? I've been following you for years. And I think to myself, well, who the hell is this person? And I think, well, that's great, you've been following me for years. Hopefully it's been good, a good experience for you. And usually it is, right? Usually it is. So that's awesome. So we have a lot more impact than we realise. And the main thing I think for ourselves is to lift our own energy up as much as possible every day. I think about Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese way of being, and they talk about, if you're a bit lost in your life right now and you think about, what is my purpose? Think about Ikigai. Think about the 4 things with Ikigai. It's what do you love? What does the world need? What can I get paid for? Anyone know the 4th one? What do I love? Ikigai. Ikigai. What do I love? What does the world need? What can I get paid for? What's the 4th one?
What nourishes me?
Kind of. What gives me joy? What gives you joy? Yeah. Yeah. And what is that for you? What is that for you? We've had lots of amazing practices. One thing that really gave me joy today was doing Jay's yoga class. That totally filled my cup. And then we went into the painful session of the body chi. That was actually really cool in its own way too, because then we sweated it out a bit. And the sound healing was beautiful to Faris. There were so many magical moments. So I encourage you to go forth and to make change happen in your life. If you do want to be seen, heard and known more, I'd love to support you on that journey. There's several ways we can work together. We have Media Queen TV packages, so we do interview packages with people. We have a Mass Media Mastery program where we support people ongoingly with that as well. We have the retreat coming up. We have the Fear to Freedom book coming up. So lots of ways we can help you get out there. It's a matter of you being willing to put the time and investment into that to make that happen. The opportunities are there for you. They're presented on a platter, and the question is, are you going to take the opportunity? It's been an awesome retreat so far. I'm going to get off this mic. Are there any questions or comments anyone wants to make? Because we are about to have dinner and then we're going into our disco party with Geoff. Any questions, comments?
Thank you.
And I do invite you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I invite you to do a 5-star review. Go to Linktree/AA reviews, or go to my Linktree/Aldwin, which you'll see on my business card. You'll see my review link in there too. I would love a review. That would be awesome. And of course, we'll share the love and we'll share your reviews far and wide. And I would love also a subscribe on my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'm a few off getting to 1,000 subscribers. And that means I can then monetize the show, even though we've had 313,000 plus views. However, the subscribers are not quite at 1,000. So we've had a bit of shadow banning, a little bit of controversial content over the years. Surprise, surprise. So, yes, I'd love a subscribe on that. That'd be awesome. All right, much love to you. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have dinner, and we're going to, maybe during dinner, we'll get the wrap party happening as well. Thank you so much.